If you've run any growth marketing or go to market, you know one of the hardest problems to solve is what the heck do I show to my market? What message do I send? What do I put on my ad? What do they resonate with? And if you're an AE or an SDR, you know that one of the hardest things ever is sounding like an insider. It can take months and months of reps from your sales call transcripts through to on call moments and back and forths in the DMs to get a feel for the way your market likes to communicate. So, what I did here is probably create the most powerful skill you can have to solve those problems. And it's free and open source for anyone who wants it. This video is going to be a walkthrough of that skill in action to show you how easy it is to come up with messages worth testing that make you sound like an insider across your market. Now, how does it work? Well, it's totally free, first of all. It uses the old Reddit API, which is free, and it respects rate limits, and it uses the Gemini CLI to surface threads. You can read a full breakdown of how it works here, but basically it's this. It combines raw Reddit data with Jordan Crawford's EDP approach, existential data point approach, basically finding pain around a topic, an industry, or a persona so you can find the exact language that your market uses to describe their problems right now. And this actually transcends your transcripts as a signal because oftentimes your transcripts will not tell you what they're thinking about this moment. So in this video, we're going to go through Claude Code for go-to-market as our test, and it's going to really show you how you can find novel understandings of present pain points to inform not just current campaigns, but your next campaigns every single month to refeed the system around what your market is thinking about this second. Now, this can be applied to anything. I'm going to show you it in action applied to writing some cold emails. And stick around if you want to see that, or just check out the tool at leadgrow.ai/Claude Code/Reddit find. Now let's go through the process of doing a query, seeing what comes back, seeing what's valuable, and then writing copy around it to see just how good of a job it can do just off Reddit data with nothing else, okay? So we're in Claude, we're inside Claude Code, we're on 4.6 Opus, probably just use Sonnet to be honest, but we're just gonna let it rip. Hey Claude, I want you to use the Reddit find tool, and today we're gonna be doing a search on behalf of LeadGrow for context. This search is going to be for go-to-market and centered around like topically go-to-market, what AEs would be talking about, where they would be hanging out, sales personnel, growth personnel. And I specifically want you to identify how they're using Claude Code, the issues that they're facing in their usage of Claude Code and day-to-day work to create leverage, the specific pain points, and basically create a Jordan Crawford style existential pain point analysis, right? And kind of like an EDP. And as you go through this process, just carefully score, look for patterns, and really steer clear of just general Claude Code stuff as you go through it. We really want it to be specific to growth marketing, etc. Now, the reason I wanted to go check this out is because this is like a more recent trend in the industry. And so you're not going to be able to get this type of stuff directly from your sales calls on average. Some clients might think about it, might pick it up. But the beauty of this is that you can take this information that it brings you and you can build campaigns, lead magnets around it. But you can also really frame the way you build introductory offers for your current clientele as upsells. Really, really effective. Like at the biggest pain for people, for instance, is like figuring out memory. You can just upsell people on, hey, like I can set up your entire Claude Code system complete with memory, right? To make sure that every time you do task, your client does, it just works, right? So it's doing pre-research hypotheses, and this is going to frame the way that it actually searches for things as sales outbound for the reverse. And then it's going to start building titles and identifying titles, AI replace agency, build tools, no code. And it's just going to run through it. And this is searching live Reddit data. So it's using the old Reddit API, and it's also going through and using the Gemini CLI as a backup. in order to frame these expansive searches and go through search forums to identify relevant posts, just relevant posts within the niche, what people are talking about and what people are talking about right now. I probably should have said something to frame its recency, right? Like to ground it in recency, but I didn't today. Any marketers who are using Claude Code, I've run 43 active email campaigns. I just quit my job at a 7-figure. 71% came from ChatGPT. Are we scaling agents faster than we can control them? Crushed my quota, but I got chewed out for not logging. Okay, it's interesting. And so the other thing is that this could be too early to really get a good breakdown of how people are thinking about Claude Code for go-to-market purposes. And keep in mind that this has rate limiting control, so you actually can't spawn a lot of parallel agents for this, which is probably fist fighting with my Claude MD file, which says freaking parallelize everything because I care about speed over maximum efficiency when it comes to my Claude Code usage. So they're probably at odds with each other. But it's pretty unbelievable, right? You can see it's actually fetching all of these posts. It's going through all of these different Reddits. It can see exact quotes, high signal posts identified, right? And it's basically just demonstrating the process to you as it goes while respecting rate limits so it doesn't get anything banned or blocked. And it's going to go through that rich data and decide on whether or not it's worth continuing with, right? So it says, really happy. Let's try to get more targeted posts. And I'll let this finish up and we'll come back to it and look at what it brings us, okay? And this is definitely going to be something that I use for actual campaigns, which is why I wanted to do this and like save my reaction to this live, because I really wanted to see how people are thinking about Claude Code. I've been deep into it for, I guess like 8 months now. So once you start getting deeper into things, you become out of touch with what most people actually care about, right? And you get overly technical, as probably my videos are being overly technical most of the time. But this has surfaced some unreal stuff. And again, this tool doesn't need anything. You can just install it in one snippet, one line. You're not paying for anything. It works like web fetch, but better with Claude Code. Claude Code can't web fetch from Reddit. So we've got people that are saying, look, and this is an objection I get all the time. What's stopping me from doing the exact same thing in Claude Code? I always say tempo. We have all the systems in place. You could spend a year setting up all the systems yourself, or you can get off to the races with us, right? We have every feedback loop you could imagine, refeeding knowledge bases, concentrated knowledge graphs for every client that they can plug into whatever they need. This one's really good. One-man band marketer drowning in tool stack complexity. And you can see here, it's getting exact words, right? So especially manufacturing B2B SaaS, they're managing 5 to 10 tools, also being the strategist, copyright in it. And I should know this because one of my clients is this. She's the CMO. She absolutely loves working with us because if we weren't there, she would have to do literally everything. She's doing newsletters. She's doing all the blogs. She's coaching the sales team. Like she is a legend, like a total beast. And there's so many ways that having a knowledge base has helped her enhance that work and make it way faster. I remember on a call, we were like, why don't you just have the new hire just sit in the knowledge base and ask questions for an hour and see how much more they learn, right? And it was really effective. Solutions they crave. My entire flow is in it. If I go, okay, great. And then after this came through, decay between strategy and execution. I think this one is pretty good, but this one is very obvious and very targeted. So these two, one-man band drowning into stack complexity, it's very easy to filter with AI Arc by the size of a department, for instance. And if you can find people that are like the solo marketer of their business and you can enable them with, a Claude Code starter kit and use that as your gateway into showing them, a valuable roadmap from no marketing to a full lead generation system that can be then transitioned and installed into their business, that might be exciting to them. Most clients we work with ultimately don't want us to transition away from doing their outbound for them. I think it's just a no-brainer compared to actually having to hire someone to run the system. What you get with us is, an SDR managing every reply through to booking. You get the knowledge base, and you get everything end to end, including a go-to-market engineer and access to myself. For now, I'm a bit of a control freak. I'm sure as I scale, I shouldn't make access to me as unfettered as it is for most clients. So we've got top performing AEs spending 2+ hours a day. This is great. AEs bring in the money, right? These guys are the ones you want to help. So if you can give them a starter kit that, right? And like, I'm actually just going to say this. Awesome. Let's actually just write copy around EDP 2 and EDP 4, including introductory offers and even some lead magnets that we could throw together, and then throw all of that into a Josh Braun style, using a Josh Braun style copywriting skill. Okay. And so I'm a big fan of Josh Braun, the Josh Braun skill, because Josh Braun's way of doing poke the bear, which is like, how do you call out something that makes them think about their problem in a single question? I think it helps you a lot to really think about how your market would perceive this pain point. Like, by saying it, it's like your brain just knows what comes to mind right away. And depending on what comes to mind, you know if you're on the right path to a good message right from the first line, right? And so you don't have to use that as your message structure. It doesn't have to be that, but it can help you more easily cascade into a good message. Okay. And so all you really need is what's the hook and what's the call to action. Everything else is built around those two things. And if you were to create a feedback loop around copywriting using like Karpathy's feedback loop, auto feedback loop, I think it's called, you would probably control for CTA, right? Keep the CTA the same, change everything else, because as long as the CTA is the same, you're probably offering pretty much the same resource, right? The CTA ends up ultimately being the offer. Everything else is the frame and the social proof. And you can see my video on copywriting made simple. They'll go into that. There's really only 3 components of copy, and it distills things down really easily. So it's going to do these 2 EDPs. I think, as it writes, EDP 5 is also super relevant here. Again, existential data points, big problems, big pain, solutions they crave, data points, great. I think this one's really good, but for more advanced users, like this would be a problem that I'm thinking about a lot of the time, right? Like, you want durable execution, you want stateful workflows, and you want observability. And so the way I'm thinking about this, and you'll probably see it in the course I drop, is probably a system that engages like something like a linear or a Hermes environment, or that way Hermes can kind of like move tasks along as like an assistant. But basically some sort of agent compatible Kanban board that just carries things through. And I haven't found the perfect one yet. Not one that enables my agency work the way I want it to. There's definitely ones that are open source like Multica that are perfect for coding. But yeah, maybe the solution is to kind of jerry rig our own version of it. So we'll let this copy finish up. It's taking its absolute sweet time right now. But as it does, we can kind of look at the rest of what's coming through. And I believe at the bottom of the skill, research limitations. Awesome. So yeah, it's actually suggesting that you could go check G2, you could go check Capterra, Trustpilot. Actually, probably a good idea, but that's more focused on B2B lead gen as a whole, which isn't exactly what I want here. Oh, and perfect. It pre-established a poke the bear question matrix. So how many hours a week do you spend managing your tools versus actually building pipelines? So I would go a step deeper behind that, and I'd make it a little bit sexier. How many hours a week are you spending flipping between Salesforce, ZoomInfo, and blank, right? Download CSV, upload CSV, a different UI for everything. What happens when Clay goes down, right? Like the interface starts acting up, right? And so you'd probably do some sort of like tech stack enrichment to make this really relevant and try to hammer home on the tech that people are spending the most time in. And so if people are using Clay, if people are using HubSpot, if people are using ZoomInfo, I can tell you time and time again, people buy ZoomInfo, and then they become my client, and they're like, big problem. We're spending all this money on ZoomInfo, and no one's freaking using it, right? So it's going to finish writing this. So that might be a better way of presenting that. And then number 4, data entry chat trap. What percentages of time goes into CRM versus selling, and who decided that was acceptable? So this is a really easy argument. First name, everyone knows that an SDR's value is made up of its sales inputs, dials, sends, and follow-ups. We built a system in Claude Code so they can double the amount of that they do versus instead of spending all your time punching notes into a CRM. This will, idea. Would you like the full install for their Claude Code for free? There you go. Here it is. And then maybe you say, look, I can walk your team through like a training session on it. And then you may upsell them to more bespoke custom integrations. And you would do each campaign based off of one CRM that people are using, for instance. So let's see what it came up with. Maybe it came up with similar ideas to me. I'm going to say provide the link to the document, to the MD file, please. I'm not going to get it to do lead magnets for the purposes of this, but it should have some lead magnet ideas, which is good. So we have Braun tool stack overwhelm, lead magnet, the 642 stack, every tool you need to replace, contents, introductory to the stack audit, chess move map, tool cost versus output. How do you know? Time spent managing tools versus building pipeline. This is a winner for sure. Agency comparison, what if the agency playbook costs $300 a month, not $5K? So in this case, it seems to have decided to do a few extra introductory offers, unfortunately, across other EDPs. But I think this is really good. Tool manager or pipeline builder. First name, what percentage of your week goes to managing your marketing tools versus actually building pipeline? Not managing campaigns, managing the tools themselves, updating integrations, debugging a sync, figuring out why your sequencer stopped deploying from your CRM, watching a YouTube tutorial for the 3rd time because the UI changed again. Most solo marketers I talk to say 30 to 4% of their time goes to tool management. That's not leverage. That's the second job you didn't apply for. So this is a leak of Claudism. So I'm going to say, let's hand this off and pass the writing / edits to a fresh context window. And make sure it knows to invoke the Josh Braun copy skill. So this is filled with Claudisms. This really isn't the skill in its perfect form, unfortunately, but we'll get there. Oh, nice. Look at this. Look, I literally said almost this verbatim just a moment ago. Had a few observations, stack observation, stack observation, stack observation. How much time do you think you're spending, right? So this is, going over this silly kind of 800. No one cares if they're spending 800. People will spend infinite dollars on ZoomInfo because they think it's helpful, Apollo because they think it's helpful. It's not that helpful. It's not actually saving you from the problems of just going back and forth into endless interfaces. But I think the point still stands. You can kind of see just how fast and easily you can take people's exact language, what they're complaining about, and just incorporate it into messages worth testing. These will need some slight updates, first name, pipeline or tools, first name, honest question, the tool tax to marketing, managing tools or building pipeline. I would even do a subject line like glorified project manager, glorified maintenance man. Yeah, actually glorified maintenance man probably would be a good one. I looked into what company is running right now, had a few observations. Good. The stack audit offer, that's fine. Lead magnet content outline. I think I should have told it not to do the lead magnets and it would have been a little bit better, but that's besides the point. That's just for the first set. And then let's quickly look at the second set and see if it did a better job, because I actually was more excited about the CRM data entry trap. So let's see, channels you're not capturing. 3 variants, the activity score. Activity score paradox is exactly what I just said. How do you know your activity dashboard isn't, is it crushing hundreds? Didn't you know because score? Yes, yes, yes. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They're tracking the wrong inputs. Okay. And so this is what came to mind when I was reading, and it actually distilled this into a very palatable message. First name, how do you know your activity dashboard isn't punishing your best closers? Prospect goes, how do I'm not sure. A sales rep posted this week about crushing 120%. So if they're deep into the industry and this was a viral post, we're talking about shit that makes us an insider, right? We are now an insider to these people. And hopefully some of the people watching are actually resonating with this sort of stuff. But his clients talk on WhatsApp. His VP wants Salesforce checkboxes. 326 people agreed. Welcome to Martin Sales Metrics over results. We put together a calculator that shows exactly how many selling hours. So I wouldn't offer the calculator or change the call to action, but this is genuinely a really good message. Instead, I would say something like, we put together a system that integrates everything Salesforce directly in the Claude Code via the CLI with a skill that will help them take their call recordings, their notes, and everything from Gong and auto plug it directly into Salesforce in a single prompt every day. Whew. Damn, I would love that, man. So that your reps can stick to dialing, not what are we talking about? Not Salesforce checkboxes. Okay, right? Sexy, snappy. Again, glorified maintenance man, glorified Salesforce janitor. Would be maybe the frame that I would take. But that's it there. Definitely check out the Reddit find skill. I think it's one of the most powerful skills for go-to-market for anything. You can apply this exact same logic to your ads, to your sales funnel, to the offers you create, all the way through to the cold outbound that you sequence. And if you want us running this for you, book a call below. If you want a full course on everything Claude Code for go-to-market, you're going to want to click right here.